As we enter Romans chapter 3, the Apostle Paul addresses some of the most pressing concerns and questions of the Jewish people. Questions that arose from their deep-rooted pride and their unique heritage and relationship with God. First, Paul tackles the question of racial advantage. The Jews were entrusted with the very oracles of God. The laws, the prophets, and even the Messiah came through them. This divine privilege gave them a sense of superiority, a belief that they were inherently better than the Gentiles. But what was this advantage? Was it really something to boast about? Paul also addresses the issue of God's faithfulness. Even if every Jew were to act in unbelief, God's faithfulness remains unshaken. His truth stands firm, unaffected by our human unfaithfulness. But this raises another concern. If God remains righteous, even when we are wrong, why does He still punish us for our wrongdoing? Paul also confronts the twisted logic that some of them might hold. Should we do evil so that good may come? Should we sin to highlight God's righteousness? These questions reveals a deep misunderstanding of God's nature and His justice. For the Jews who had been so carefully following the law, these ideas seems not to just be confusing, but deeply unfair. If the Gentiles could share in God's promises without adhering to the law, what then is the advantage of being a Jew? But Paul's message is clear here and humbling to them. He says, all have sinned, whether Jews or Gentiles. All have fallen short of God's glory. The Jews who pride themselves on being God's chosen people are reminded of their own hypocrisy and deceit. Paul concludes that every mouth must be stopped and all the world must acknowledge their guilt before God. No one can be justified by the deeds of the law. This is an humbling truth and sets the stage for a profound revelation. Justification comes not by works, but by faith, a truth we are going to explore further tomorrow. So then, what does this mean for us? Christ came to put an end to any racial advantage through His ultimate sacrifice. He granted access to all who believe, regardless of race, tribe, or background. In Christ, we find our collective advantage. Hallelujah. Christ has abolished every racial advantage, and in Him we have a collective advantage. Let us embrace this truth, knowing that Christ is, and in Him we are equal. Our true advantage and the importance of our salvation is found in Him and Him alone.